Lord, time is going fast. So if you've seen people before they pass, they have like a good day or two where they just look beautiful. My grandmother and my aunt, um, right before they passed, my grandmother a day before, she'd been kind of unconscious in the hospital. But the day before, she'd come to, she was on a ventilator, but she was communicating. She was writing, things. And um, I was in the room, and I was 13 years old at the time. And she was saying, I like your boots. You look pretty and whatever. And, writing notes to everybody. And she just looked so, so gorgeous. Like, the only way I can say it is beyond earthly gorgeous. She was beautiful to begin with, but just wow, I wish in those days you would have, well, I don't know. But if you could take a picture of them before when they're like that, it's just, it would blow your mind, Um, my grandmother, she started out as a blonde like me, but as she got older, she got like black hair. But she had blue eyes, beautiful, beautiful blue eyes. And she kind of had like a little bit of a curl to her hair. And she was in the hospital, and her eyes, they just took on this extra light and shine, and they were just like super extra blue, and her skin just looked like she was 25 years old. It's the weirdest thing, You probably won't believe it unless you happen to see it yourself. And the same thing happened with my aunt. And then my husband, he looked really good. And I knew right then it's coming. So we, stayed with him, and he ate and they wanted to put him back on the machine for a bit and see if he would rest. So we left again, and then came back later, and things had taken another turn. And I walked in there, and he was laying down, and he had that machine on, and the nurse, for some reason, mentioned to me, I think she was hoping I would talk him out of it, that he'd made a decision that if he goes unconscious, like really, that he wanted to be placed on a breathing machine and all that stuff, And I was kind of a little bit shocked to hear that. And so I asked him, I said, is this what you want? And then he just started crying. And that, he said, isn't that what we want? And I said, I didn't want him to suffer. So I just said, oh, sweetheart, that is your decision to make. And so apparently later that night, he went ahead and decided, no, not to take any measures to prolong his life, which, I was very glad, but it also saddened me that this man was willing to stay on all that just to be here for my son. Okay, sorry. for my husband to want to go through all that just to be able to stay here for my son and I was just mind-blowing, But I'm so glad that he changed his mind. So, another doctor came in, and he and the nurses in the ICU had, I think they might have talked to the other doctor that was trying to get things, going for my husband. And, sorry. So they said, he came in and he said, so what's going on with this stent? Why has this not happened? And I told him, everything that had gone on. And so this doctor was freaking amazing. He was so kind and, he was what anybody would want in a doctor. He was just freaking an angel. So, it'd been a pretty long, emotional day. So, my husband wanted to lay down and, he was still on the machine and everything. So my son and I left and we came back to see him the next morning and the room was empty. That is never a good feeling. But they immediately came to me and said he was transferred late last night, around 12 or something. And so my husband, you get kind of out of it before you pass. So he wasn't good at like answering phone calls or texts or anything like that. So I'd always have to call the nurse's station. So I got the information, where he was and everything. And they had got him a room and they put him in there. And these doctors had found a surgeon that was willing to do the stent. And so I think he was in there for a day or two before they decided to go ahead and do the surgery, which was really amazing that they found someone that was even willing to try because, my husband was not in good shape. And, I think a lot of it came from my husband's desire to live and to fight it and, but, so I didn't go to see him at that point because, they were busy, in and out testing and, and they, told me he's worn out, so I stayed home. And so the morning of the surgery, I got a phone call, saying my name is Doctor and I'm going to do the surgery on your husband. And so she said, we're about to head in and, we will call you when it's over. So they called when it was done and they could not put the stent in. The cancer, the main tumor in the diaphragm had, doubled in that 4 month, less than 4 months really, period of time, even with the radiation. Yeah, it was pretty big by the time they, tried to put the stent in. So they couldn't do it. And so my husband was still, was very out of it. And the next day, I got a phone call saying he took a turn for the worse and, we believe he's going to pass soon. And so if you want to be here, you need to get here. Next video.